I'm joined by Sai. Sai, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, glad to be here.
For sure. I don't know. Do you want us to tell the people about like how we go way back?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So to give everybody the quick breakdown, back in 2015, I believe.
Yes.
I used to make anime review videos. I did Fairy Tail, One Piece, and I literally did half of the animes that were airing at the time every season. I made a review on every single episode. And my whole shtick was I would add memes. I would add memes in between the reviews.
Right.
So I start talking about the episode, and then 2 minutes in, boom, you're hit with like a random meme, which, looking back at it is really cringy, but it was my niche at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember Brago here, every now and then he would comment on one of my videos.
Right.
And he really stuck out to me at the time because he was one of the few people that had another anime YouTube channel.
Yes.
And he was commenting at the time, and he only had a couple hundred subs at the time too.
Yeah, like
and I was like,
maybe
yo, like
100.
Yeah, maybe 100. I remember. And I was like, yo, this guy's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, I dropped off the face of the earth for 7 years.
Yeah.
And by the time I came back into One Piece and just talking about anime in general on YouTube, here he is. He's a Goliath. like what happened? Like B.D.A. was eating the Wheaties.
Oh man, we grew up a little bit.
Yeah.
I remember watching Sai back in the day. Obviously a different channel name back then. And I was really taken aback by just how much he was covering, how many things he was covering, and also just the frequency and the quality of the videos. And then so when I saw his channel again, I was like, man, this dude looks a bit familiar. And it's like it's crazy just how things kind of come full circle. So now
it's like rubbing your chin.
Yeah, it's like wait, what? But nah, this is dope. I'm happy we could do this. So 1055, we're just going to go through it from top to bottom. Let me ask you first, though, what do you think about Film Red? What are your expectations, I guess?
So I am not going to spoil anything, but I have seen the spoilers, and I'm pretty excited. The main reason why is because Oda came out himself and said, this movie isn't going to be like your typical One Piece movie. Like
yes. Yeah, I didn't
Film
hear about
Gold
that.
with Tesoro, Stampede with Bullet. Like, it's not going to be just... you find a big bad guy, big burly man, and then you go on and fight him. It's not that type of movie. And I think the trailers itself really show that when they show Uta singing, they show just the whole weird array of characters that are at the concert. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to it. Also, it's one of the few movies that is advertising Shanks. Like, Shanks has been MIA for 25 years.
Yes.
Like we've barely seen anything of him. So naming a film after him, I'm expecting some pretty big things, to be honest.
I am as well, but I'm very, very...
skeptical.
I'm cautiously... skeptical and cautiously optimistic. I think the thing is, as much as they're selling it as Shanks' movie, it seems like it's more Uta. And obviously we're going to get some Shanks, but I doubt that we're going to get as much Shanks as we want. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
I'm definitely going to watch the movie once it comes out in theaters, whenever that is in the US. But I'm just kind of like, all right, is it going to be fulfilling? Because I don't know. My favorite movie is Film Z. And, Film Z, what I liked about it was because of how close it felt to the canon story. And I'll admit that they are doing a better job of trying to incorporate things. Even in a chapter, I believe that there's some Film Red stuff that we can talk about.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see. Maybe because I don't have as high expectations going into this, it may come out being my favorite movie. Because I know Oda said he's tired of like the old. I think he's tired of focusing on old guys in the movies because for the most part it's like an old antagonist.
Here's a guy from Roger's era.
Yeah. Here's an old guy that you guys probably care about that I'm gonna make up that might be canon or might.
You'll
not.
never see him again.
Never ever see him again. Or if you, we were expecting Shiki for a long time, and
he's still being teased. I don't know if you read the Road to Laugh Tale, but Oda made sure to put a couple panels of Shiki in there here and there. So
I remember in Wano he was. That was one of the faces that the old hag transformed to. So it's still like, Shiki shows up for the final war. Who knows? But to the chapter, I guess we saw it was like a Film Red, like panels.
Oh, the very first one?
The very first ones. And then, but it was like some panels of Uta like making music. and she says, my magnum opus. Did you see that?
I have.
Yeah. What do you think about that? I didn't really have any thoughts on it. Just want to know.
Yeah, I don't really have too many thoughts on it because I know it's just purely, non-canon movie related.
Yeah.
But it just, what really throws me off is the very first panel going back up. Like, because you have people essentially screaming at Uta to help us. Like, hey, they got my dad. Save us, please. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh, hey, wait, this is a sick beat. And then she writes it down. It's like, wait, what does that mean? What does that mean for the movie? Like, I thought she was like a pop star.
Yeah. Is she a superhero or something? Is she like the witching hour boy for her town? She's like alternate.
She's what Apu should have been.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Oh man, Apu.
Oh, speaking of Film Red, so like I said, I don't know too much about the movie, but I know like a small gist of it. But because I don't know enough, I am wondering if we are going to get Shanks versus Blackbeard in it, or if I'm being too hopeful with that.
Way too hopeful.
Because but you see the trailer though, like they have Film Red, and then they have the Blackbeard scar just coming down. I'm like, wait, is Blackbeard gonna show up? Like, are we gonna see what happened?
I doubt it. I doubt it.
Yeah,
listen,
I'm believing too hard right now.
I think the only way that would happen is if they came out and said, hey, Film Red is a fully canon movie, right? Then, because like Demon Slayer and even JJK, which I still gotta watch that JJK movie. I'm saying
it's so good.
Yeah, I can't find it anywhere. Like I missed it in theaters and now I gotta wait. But Demon Slayer was Mugen Train. It was like fully canon, even though they covered it again in the anime. It was like, here's a fully canon movie with amazing animation. If One Piece did something like that, which I think a lot of where anime is trending now, they could definitely do Shanks versus Blackbeard. And I would go crazy if we got 2 hours of Shanks versus Blackbeard, or build up. Maybe the last 30 minutes to Shanks versus Blackbeard. To build up to that would be fantastic. Get some Aokiji, just find out about what's going on with Moria. It would be fantastic. But for Film Red, I'm expecting Shanks to do some cool stuff. But as far as like finding out, it's going to have canon elements, but I think it's going to be mostly revolved around Uta and the Strats, because as
Uta and Luffy. You think Shanks is going to show up for like 2 minutes and then leave again or something? Probably
early. He's probably going to be the first person we see in the movie, or Uta, and then Shanks, and then in the trailer it seems like he abandoned her, and then Luffy comes in, and in the trailer even it seems like Luffy recognizes her, and then something happens and she's taken away, then they got to save her or whatever. Then Shanks probably shows back up again, and I'm not sure how Oda resolves this because he's going to be something different from the regular. So I'm expecting
even like weird
CGI
things. Machines that pop up out of nowhere too.
CGI doesn't make me feel good because of how Bullet and Stampede.
Devil Fruit Awakening. That looked bad.
That was bad. I did not like that at all. Before that, I was loving the movie. After that, I'm like, even though Boa Hancock's moment was fantastic,
I don't know why people think putting a giant monster is always a good idea. Like we had that with Tesoro in film Gold. You didn't have to do it again.
Yes. I hate when they do that, but hopefully it doesn't happen here and we just get some good old hands, but we'll see. All right, to the chapter now. We are seeing the people still celebrating, right? But then it basically starts off with Yamato. Yamato and the Alliance, Scabbards is fighting Green Bull, and Momonosuke is still trying to convince Yamato not to fight against Green Bull. I guess then we get Raizo versus Green Bull.
Oh, Raizo.
Oh
my gosh.
And this was my fear. It was like, oh man, like Green Bull, he uses plants. Anybody can use fire. It's over, right?
Yeah.
He has like a fireproof forest. And he's like, you're up against a Navy admiral. You think I wouldn't be able to guard against such an obvious weakness, which is fantastic because this gives some credence to Aokiji as well versus Akainu, where it's like, if you think it was a weakness, if you're an admiral, you have contingencies, right? And it makes sense for top tiers. Like, just because I have a weakness, you can't just exploit it like that. What do you think about this entire segment?
So I was really happy when he pulled out the fireproof forest.
Yes.
But I was also kind of like, my reasoning as to how last chapter they talked about how Sabo and the Revs escaped from Marijois from Fujitora and Green Bull, I was like, oh, maybe, you know, Sabo pulled out the fire and he couldn't do anything.
He can do anything.
But now it's like, dang, he really doesn't have an excuse.
Yeah.
Like you know, he could have just pulled out a fireproof forest. Like, what did Sabo do against this man?
I feel the same way, because it's kind of like, okay, Sabo's using fire, right? And this is your obvious weakness. There's not much you can do. But no, there was
fireproof forest.
You have fireproof forest, but the thing is, with fireproof forest, is that just like a specific technique if you know fire is coming? And does that limit you in all your other abilities? You know what I mean? Or can you apply it to all of your techniques? You know what I mean?
He's just like infinitely fireproof.
Yeah. So it's just like, how does that really work? But either way, it doesn't look good if you have a countermeasure like that, and they were still able to get away. I mean, I'm still, even with that whole situation, I'm still like, let's see what happened first. Yeah, because you know,
there's celestial dragons there. They don't want them to get hurt. Yeah, like there's so many contingencies about like how the Revs escaped that we can't really chalk it up to just the admirals, you know, were trash. Like, because that's not the case. Like, they brought them there to defend the Celestials and the Kings. Like, these guys were their best line of defense. There's no way they just, you know, folded like that.
No, I think if you look at it from just a logical perspective, it makes more sense for the Revolutionary Army to get away. It just would be nice if they at least caught someone, right? At least one of them, and then they didn't escape with Kuma. But of course, there's outside interference happening, like with Bonnie. Bonnie definitely contributed. And something I plan on talking about in probably a separate video is like how Oda is kind of lining up just propaganda in the One Piece world, where in Whole Cake Island, we saw what happened and we saw what the news release was, right? And it was not at all just like what exactly happened, right? It was some misdirection. It was, you know, a bit
like
of embellishment.
Luffy destroyed Big Mom and all that other stuff. That never happened.
Right? And then on this end, we don't see what happened and we just saw the outcome, right? And so it's just like Oda is kind of, and then on this one, well, in Whole Cake Island, Luffy kind of became an emperor, or heralded as an emperor, and Sabo is kind of the same way. So it's like, once we get more context, I think it's going to be like, oh, okay, all these things happened to make it a lot more difficult. I think, you know, just from the perspective of being objective here, it doesn't look good for the admirals, but I think that's the point where the revolutionaries, Oda had to give them a W. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were reeling. I was like, yo, the revolutionaries, are they even in play anymore? Like, what is happening?
And then they had the revolutionary commander show up, and you're like, bro, their devil fruits are kind of trash.
Yeah, and then
Bello Betty with the rally fruit
too. Like,
oh man, I think the bounty release, like, it wasn't looking good for the Revs.
It wasn't looking good. So I think it's a bit of us underestimating them, because, you know, these are people that Dragon chose, you know, and, you know, so we kind of give them more credit there. So them accomplishing that, it makes more sense for the story going into its final stages, that the revolutionaries, they're coming off a high. We have all there's different moving parts with the pirates. Now the Marines, who are like technically they're technically in control. How do you guys go up against all this? And then Akainu had his speech at the end. I thought was great, you know, about how he's gonna, you know, contest them at every front. But here we're back with Green Bull, and, you know, trolled Raizo, got him out of there. And then we got basically into more lore, which is an amazing part of the
lore
chapter.
with Pluton and Ancient Wano.
Ancient Wano, yeah. So basically, wait, okay, let me ask you, what do you think about Law just popping up out of nowhere?
So it can go two ways, or it can go both ways. Yeah, I know Oda doesn't like to put like romance or anybody shipping other people in One Piece, but I mean, it's pretty apparent that Law came here for Robin.
Yeah.
But also, Law is, you know, a captain of his own crew. It's another player that would eventually want to get to the One Piece, or even want to go further in the story. So I think it's quite curious that like he also showed up here and was able to discover all of this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird with Law, because I think most people view him as just an ally, just solely an ally. He's somebody that is a straw hat. But Law is an enemy captain. He has one of the more important people that can help him achieve his goal right here with him. But it's just like, I just don't see him doing that because of his personality and how he is right now, how close he is with the Straw Hats. Even then, and he has a submarine. Like, so even if he decides to get away, he probably could. I don't know, Jinbei's there. So it's like, why even,
try?
Why even try it? You know, because I don't know if the Straw Hats, like, for instance, they're on there with the laughter, like, yeah, Law, I don't think we want you with us, man. Because he was there for, like, even in Zoe, when they're finding out about the poneglyphs and the whale tree and all this different stuff, he was there. So
he was there in Punk Hazard. He's been with us for a long time.
So, you know, him being here now, because it's him, I don't have a fear about it at all. I think he's fine. But he could literally pull like a 4D chess play and take Robin, take the ancient weapon, and get out of there with a rubbing of the poneglyph and all their poneglyphs. And like, yeah, I'm finding the last.
He just needs one left.
You know, he could just be right where they are, but his crew is trash. So it's like,
the way I see Law right now is, I mean, even Kid, really, I just feel like they're unofficial Straw Hat Alliance members. Yes. Like, they're such good friends with Luffy. Even Kid, I would argue, because they have this weird rivalry going on, but every time Kid tries to do something, Luffy just ends up, you know, hugging him or, you know, bringing him to some weird situation.
Yeah.
But what I'm seeing from this is that at this point, they have 2 poneglyphs down, or Kid probably will have, like, maybe 2 poneglyphs down. But Law and Luffy having 3, I can see them splitting up and looking for the 4th one since we don't know the location of it.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's mentioned where that 4th one is located.
Right.
So if we're going to split up and go our own ways and look for poneglyphs, I think now is the time.
Right.
And, you know, Law wouldn't be piggybacking off of us. It would give Kid a reason to leave as well.
Yeah.
And for everybody to go their own way.
And then to meet back up at some point together.
Oh, yeah.
Probably. Yeah. So in this passage, they go down and talk about, Sukiyaki says he's never told Orochi or Kaido about it, but they were still able to find it because of Jack. And that led to some conversation.
Right. Yeah, so the Jack one, I released my video on 10:55. Jack was the biggest, you know, part of the comment section.
Yeah.
Because people were like, hey, like, how would Jack be able to find ancient Wano? He's a fisherman, but at the same time, he has a devil fruit. He can't swim. How is he doing this?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
So in the stream yesterday, people came to a couple of conclusions. One was that this is before he had his devil fruit, right?
Yeah.
And so he's a fisherman, so that's no problem for him. The second is, and I didn't even get the chance to fact check, it's like, it's fresh water and not seawater.
Yes.
So it's like in One Piece, if I think from my memory, I remember like if you're submerged at all in water, any type of water, then you lose your powers. They're saying, well, it's fresh water, not seawater, so therefore his power, he doesn't lose. He doesn't become an anchor. So it's something that I haven't checked yet, but that's what people are saying. I think I'm more along the lines of like, this is before his devil fruit, than it just being fresh water. That's what I'm thinking about that. How do you feel about those?
I'm actually on the opposite camp. I think because it is rainwater, fresh water, that he is able to swim. But you are right though. Oda actually, I fact checked it too. It is in an SBS where Oda said, if it is still water, no matter if it's rainwater or, you know, ocean water or water you get from a tap sink, then you cannot swim in it. You will drown no matter what. But I feel like that was so long ago that it could easily be retconned, because that, like, this would be the first instance he would have to justify it, really. So
he's saying, like, so in still water.
Yes.
Right?
He said as long as the water's not moving. And I can send you the picture too.
Yeah, I remember that.
I have the whole
like,
thing.
That's so...
It's specific.
Right. It's like when it's not moving. So it's like if the water is moving, then he'd be fine. Yes. So it's like waves or rain, then he'd be fine. So yeah, I don't know. I think Oda's going to find a way to justify it, just like with Kinemon and how Kaido stabbing him didn't work. You know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, and another thing too is that it could be pre-Devil Fruit, but if you look at that picture of Jack, man, it looks really like him from the other day. Yeah, it was him from the other day. Yeah, before the raid. Yeah, and it's also crazy because Jack is the youngest out of all these guys. He's like 28.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, you know, it's difficult. It's difficult, but I think the most logical thing right now to Oda clarify is probably pre-Devil Fruit. You know what I mean? So
pre-Devil Fruit is the easiest way.
Right. But it said basically Jack found, I guess, ancient Wano, because he went below sea level. And I guess the question people were asking, well, how did he go down there, but he wasn't able to find Pluton, I guess.
That's a good question. I never thought about that. Jack going down to ancient Wano but not finding it. Maybe it's hidden behind a wall. It could also just be that he doesn't know exactly where to look, because Sukiyaki mentions later that it's pretty much directly below us.
Yeah. It's below us, and he said, I believe he said he's never seen it. He's never seen it, but it's down there. So I think, well, let me ask you here, with this entire thing, with them basically like Wano being flooded and being underwater and the erecting of the walls, all this different stuff. What are your thoughts about it? Like, what did you piece together?
So I am excited for the Void Century because of this, but at the same time, I feel like there's something really fishy about the walls being constructed in Wano.
Yeah.
Like, how do you even build mountains like that in the first place? I feel like it has to be the work of a devil fruit for sure.
For sure.
But
people
at the
are
same
saying
time,
Pika, probably.
Oh yeah, that's where I was at. Pika with the stone fruit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, wait, these guys waited around for years while rainwater flooded them? Like, they didn't think about like getting rid of the rainwater, or maybe, poking a hole in the wall to let it
making
go.
A
like
passage or something.
Yeah, like literally the whole reason was to keep invaders out, but you could make a hole the size of like your thumb and it'll be A-okay.
Yeah. I think it's maybe that's part of the plan, and they're preserving something specific.
Yeah.
Not just the ancient weapon, but maybe history. And this was something that they had to do to, even when people, because Wano is like a natural fortress, right? And so when people come to Wano, I'm sure they end up looking, because I believe Wano was a city of gold as well. So it's like so many layers of security, because nobody would think to like go to the depths of Wano to find because they say the only reason they found it is because of Jack, so it's just like, we're trying to keep these things just a secret. So this has to happen. We have to flood Wano and live here, so like no one ever suspects that there's like an ancient civilization like beneath sea level. And I think it's a protection thing, which leads to like, I think they are obviously housing the ancient weapon Pluton, but I think there's more things that they're hiding here. And that's why, they had to do this. This is part of the prophecy, everything from back then, the ancient kingdom. But what's crazy is when we think about all this, and like them erecting this, like the walls, etc. I think back to like some of the devil fruits that were in Wano, like how Barto's devil fruit used to be in Wano. And Mr. Two Bonclave's devil fruit,
the clone
right?
Fruit, yeah.
So it's just like, it's not far-fetched that Pika's devil fruit was once in Wano. All these things had to come together to kind of protect these secrets, but based on what's going on, I ask you, what do you think about Pluton? What do you think Pluton is?
So ever since we got revealed to Poseidon and we learned that it was actually Shirahoshi, and then we have that mystery egg on Roger's ship, which I personally believe that might be Uranus.
Okay.
Or Uranus. But now, like, when I think of Pluton and it being a battleship, an ancient battleship that's capable of destroying countries at a whim.
Yeah.
And Frankie saw the blueprints and he said, hey, like, can a human even make something like this?
Yeah.
It leads me to believe personally that it might be some sort of somewhat living ancient weapon.
Okay.
Maybe something that's living in the rainwater, or maybe some kind of like machine that lives in the rainwater.
So, okay. I that's definitely along the lines of how I was thinking, but I went a step further, and I think Pluton could be a submarine.
A submarine is a good one.
But of course, nuclear weapons, right? Able to propel itself through water. Mm-hmm. Maybe some of it was made through the material from poneglyphs, etc., so it's indestructible. But the reason why I'm also thinking it could be a submarine, of course, because you can't. Pluton is only unleashed once you get rid of the
get rid of the water.
The water, and you got to get rid of the statues, like the stone, right? So you got to literally remove the walls that surround a nation. And so another reason why I thought that it could be a submarine is because the person that's there trying to acquire it, Law. I mean, Law right now.
Yeah, he gets like an upgrade on his submarine. That'd be funny.
Upgrade, and it's an ancient weapon, and he already knows how to take care of all this. And even his name, Trafalgar D. Water Law. Of course, I know like the meaning behind it, like it was the Battle of Trafalgar and Waterloo, whatever. But what if Oda is saying, hey, like the clan of D, there were people like in charge of specific things that had to be done, and Law's family was one of the people that were like in charge of like securing Pluton underwater, in Wano.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
That's so theory. I'm leaning towards submarine nuclear weapons, but the thing is, the crazy part about it is that if it is that, this was 800 years ago. Right?
Like how good could it be? Like how good was their technology? Like it's made out of stone or something.
800 years ago, they're creating like a submarine that could destroy islands. Like that's insane. But that's what I'm thinking about Pluton now. But even talking to different people, my boy quietly, he said, what if Law can just, instead of opening Wano and buying some more time, he could just use Room and Shambles and kind of like remove it from where it is without like completely removing their defenses. Just because, he has like an overwhelming power. So he could kind of get around that, even with tact and things like that. So
I think the problem with that is that he can't see where Pluton is. So he doesn't really know what he's like shambling at all. Yeah.
And because you have to go even deeper.
Yeah.
To find it. But either way, I think this is an amazing lore dump that Oda's given us right now.
It's huge, and I'm just wondering, like, are we gonna see Pluton before we leave Wano, or is this just something we're gonna write off and then come back to later when Momonosuke decides to open up Wano?
That's the tough part, because Momonosuke not deciding to open up Wano right now, I get it, right?
Yeah.
But that's the prophecy. That's what you need to do. And what I'm thinking of is, at what point do we explore or talk about what's happening or what's happened in the journal, right? When do we talk about the things Yamato knows about, the things Yamato doesn't know about? Because
like the pages that Oden ripped out.
The pages that Oden ripped out, like, because it's relevant, because we have to know where to go next. Where do we head next based on what these things are saying? And we also have to acquire the final poneglyph. So, and we have to meet Shanks, Yeah,
we have to meet Shanks. We have to meet Blackbeard. We eventually, have to go to Elbaf. Like, there's so many places that feel necessary.
Yeah.
And what's really gonna lead us there, though?
Yeah. And then because of Oda and the interviews coming out saying these are things he's really been waiting to draw. Like, this is the One Piece. Whereas basically everything from this point forward is what the One Piece is, what he's been waiting to draw. And if you remove the fluff, this is basically it, Even if he's trying to tell people they can skip and come to Wano and start from there, I don't recommend that.
No, like who would actually do that?
Please don't do that. Well,
please don't come into chapter 1055 out of nowhere.
Yeah, like, hey guys, I'm coming here from Skypiea. What did I miss? Like, what?
Who are these characters?
How strong is Ace now? Like, by the way, but I guess, with the problem of them losing the defense and Pluton, we'll see where Oda goes with that, because I think next chapter is going to be really interesting, because it's not much to follow up on. So we have to kind of establish new things. But we moved on from Pluton and
go back to Green Bull.
We go back to Green Bull. And Green Bull says some interesting stuff.
Oh man, yes, he does.
He says
he says some really interesting things here.
He says, if Kaido was still in charge, I wouldn't have come here.
Yeah, he yells it out. He's like proud of it.
Yeah.
He's like wearing it on his chest.
Yeah.
Like, if Kaido is here, I'm not gonna be here.
And it's like, okay, I understand what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
But it's almost like if he's trying to say, Kaido was good for you, because it kept away people like me. But of course, I think what fans basically see is like, oh, Green Bull doesn't want any problems with Kaido.
No, he wants no smoke.
He wants no smoke with Kaido. And okay, I'll say this about Green Bull as a character. When he first pulled up, hype, what he did to King and Queen, how he's talking smack.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It was marvelous because I love antagonists. I love villains, right?
Oh, same.
So I was like, okay, we have an admiral that's not like the rest. He's in the vein of a Kainu. He's not like Fujitora, Aokiji, or even Kizaru. He's gonna talk smack and he can back it up seemingly, right? So that was good, right? It's bringing about the balance so that it's just not a pirate's world. It's showing like why the Marines are in charge. Cool. So for him to come and be this guy that's like, yeah, but if Kaido was here, I wouldn't come here, man. Like, it's like,
bro, why'd you say that? like, it's weird that he would say that about himself, you know?
Nobody, and you know,
it's crazy.
On Twitter, the memes would be like, not even Batman would get that out of me. Yeah, I don't think, it's like, why? Like, you didn't have to say that. You know
it's funny because last chapter, or a couple chapters ago when he was introduced, he was like, yo, I would not lose to mere commanders. Like, yes. he was essentially declaring that they were trash. Like, they were a waste of his time.
Yes.
And then this chapter, he's like, but if Kaido was here, I would be nowhere close.
I wouldn't come here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here. What do you mean?
So it's just, okay, I didn't think Green Bull was stronger than Kaido, you know?
No.
I think I kind of would not say that. Because even when Kizaru said, yo, I can go to Wano and take care of it, he's like, yeah, but the samurai. It wasn't like, which for us is like, what, right? The samurai.
Is it Raizo?
Raizo.
Like, what are you talking about?
Right? And it's kind of like, no, he's like, no. He didn't even acknowledge Kaido. He's like, no, but the samurai. Which to us is like still crazy. For him saying, hey, if Kaido, man, if Kaido's here, we don't want to do this. It's like, it takes away from him. And I don't know. Green Bull has been a character, we'll talk about it further, that has been introduced. And I think after 1053, he would have been a top 50 character if we had voting, right? Like top 50, top 35, something like that, right? Just because of how he came on the scene. I think now he doesn't even make top 100.
No, even his transformation, it's so goofy looking.
He's King Bomb, man. That's who he is, man. But it's so he goes on from talking about Kaido and he talks about, yo, bring me Straw Hat. I'll leave you be after I take his head, right? That's all I want. And so Momonosuke is still caught up on, yo, I have to do this. I'm like, Momo, what do you want? But then once he explains it, I'm like, I understand what you're saying, right? Like, yo, I got to do this or else you guys are not going to want to leave. I'm like,
he's got to grow up.
I'm like, sure, but it's Yamato's leaving. She's leaving. And I think even though, you know, her devil fruit, all that different stuff is to protect Wano, she is confident in you guys' ability and not specifically just you because they understand you're still growing. Where I think for Momonosuke, he's probably biting off more than he can chew because it's like, yeah, we understand that you want to be the person that can defend Wano and be like in the vein of Oden or Ryuma, but you gotta, give it some time. But I understand him being just so thoughtful about Yamato and like, yo, I don't want you to feel like you have to stay here. So I did like that. But it was
really sweet.
It was really sweet, but this is an admiral, all right? And,
dude, I think that's one of the main problems too. Is like they're having this whole moment while an admiral is just right beside him trying to take him down.
Yeah. And then Yamato's just like caught up in the vines. She's just like Kyoshira's like smiling and shit. Like
they're just having a good time.
They're having a good moment here.
Except for Raizo. I don't know where he's at. The guy's just a drain. And
yeah.
I don't know if you noticed this, but Raizo isn't in the rest of the chapter. Like he's not there. Like what is he dead? Does he need to go like eat some food? Like
does Oda kill Raizo like this? No way.
Yeah, he needs an IV pump or something. I mean, hey, Ashura Doji and Izo, like crazier things have happened.
Yeah, just out of nowhere. Like, let's just kill those two.
Yeah, by the way, Raizo's gone.
By the way, Raizo's gone too, by the way. That would be, I mean, I would like it if Green Bull at least took one body, but I don't think so. I really don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. So Raizo's going to get back up.
He's fine. Raizo's fine. So after that, Momonosuke's trying to spam Blast Breath or Borrow Breath, whatever. And it's not working. Then all of a sudden it works. Catches Green Bull by surprise. I don't know. It seems like Green Bull turns into like a sapling, right?
Yeah.
Right, and then
it turns into a little tree.
So my thing is that Green Bull's power, like even if you get rid of his body, if there's any root anywhere, he can regrow and respawn.
I think that would be nice, but I really just think it boils down to the fact that Momo didn't have like any real hockey to like take him down.
Yeah.
Like,
so you think if hockey's involved, because what happens is like he sprouted up elsewhere, you know, in a different body. So it's like if I have any of my roots underground, even if you get rid of my body, I can sprout back up. It's almost like wood clones, you know, in a way, which I think is pretty cool. But it's just like, you know, I guess he didn't have fireproof force active anymore or whatever, or it doesn't work for. Either way, it was just like, okay,
it's crazy. It's crazy. Like this is a singular Bodo breath. Like Kaido could do 10 of these in a row. Like he just got knocked out by one.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. And you know, from Momonosuke's, it's hard to evaluate just how strong it is in comparison to Kaido. Like you don't think it's as strong as Kaido's, but Momonosuke, of course, he has latent talent because he's Odin's son, and you know. But it was like, you know, it was a shocker. But I think Oda was going for the moment, right? Other than like, hey, I care about this, like how strong people think of this character or whatever.
He wanted to show that Momo was growing, he could defend himself and all that good stuff.
Right.
And so like he landed 2 of them.
Yes. You know, it's fucking whatever. We move on, and then we get to Green Bull is now like, he's back, and he's like, okay, since you want to play hardball, I don't know, because now before when he was transformed, he didn't have his glasses on, right? He transforms again. When it's hardball time, the glasses.
He put on the shades.
He put the shades back on,
so he could see better.
Right? So he's like,
I mean, hey, he put on the shades, and it looks like he actually got a little bit of hockey on his roots too.
Yeah. And so
like
it looks
he was
like
getting serious.
It looks like he was actually getting serious. He's like, I'm gonna skewer you, right? And you want to be Kaido routine from mouth to tail. And then out of nowhere, we see black lightning, right?
Yeah, from like miles away.
From miles away, and Green Bull, he's like frozen in place, really surprised and shook. It's like, that conquers hockey. Who the hell?
Not even just that. Like he loses his form.
Yeah, he goes back to his regular form. And he's like, the red hair pirates, you're here too? And we go back to Shanks' ship, and they're like, boss, you can't just use your hockey without warning. All the newbies. So Shanks pretty much knocked out all the newbies on the ship, right?
Yeah, they're all gone.
They're all knocked out. And Shanks basically says, yo, I'm not going to call you pussy, but you're going after people that are worn out after the beating to Yonko. Don't you think that's kind of pussy? Right? And the face that Oda shows of Shanks is like,
it's so good.
It's fantastic, right? And I feel like we've been waiting for this, and I didn't think we'll see a face like this until he sees Blackbeard again. You know, I thought this would be the face like once we're about to see Shanks versus Blackbeard. So to see this here, like, does the new age frighten you that much? It's kind of like, well, yeah. Like
Luffy took down like Kaido.
Kaido and Big Mom are no longer,
grew up into a mini Odin. Like what are you talking about? Of course I'm afraid.
Of course.
The world government's like quaking in their boots right now. Every time we see the Goto they're like, damn, the world is going like it's going batshit. Like what's going on?
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm like, yeah, I'm freaking scared. Like what the hell? Yeah, I'm gonna take them out when I have the opportunity. You know, and so him putting up his arms and saying, yo, I don't want to pick a fight with you guys, not today, is just continuing the narrative of people not wanting to fight Shanks. You know what I mean? Just like,
I don't blame them.
You know, and but here's the thing. I understand it, right? But I don't know necessarily why. Of course he's strong, but we need to see, right? We need to see it in action.
Somebody has to fight him.
Somebody has to fight him, I think. And the tough part here is that the person that's going to fight him is Blackbeard, and unfortunately, Blackbeard is going to win, right?
Yeah.
Because the narrative demands it. So once we finally see Shanks go crazy, I think Oda's going to like show and portray him in a way that justifies all this hype. But it's like, I wish we could have seen just more from him doing something. You know what I mean? It's just that's kind of the tough part.
Like Shanks' only real feats so far are coming in and staring people down.
Yes.
With his conquerors hockey. That is what he boils down to. But whenever he does it, like we eat it up. Like we love it. We want more of Shanks, but we don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, he's gonna be gone.
It's like it's so like funny just thinking about Shanks because it's really like Gildarts and Fairy Tail.
Dude, it's a 1-to-1 design. It's so ridiculous.
It did do the same thing, but we actually saw Gildarts in action. I guess
multiple times.
Bit. Yeah,
and then after a while though, like he starts getting negged on though. So
yeah.
Okay, going back to Green Bull though. So I love, or I mean, I guess I'm questioning Green Bull's thought process because he said, going back to the Kaido comment.
Yeah.
He said, if Kaido was still in charge, I wouldn't have come here. But now that you guys are in charge, the people that took down Kaido, the Beast Pirates, and Big Mom, it's time to go into action. It's like, wait, like. How does that make sense?
What are you talking about, bro? Because it's like I think he's just in over his head. You know what I mean?
For sure. It has to be it.
Yeah, he's in over his head, and I don't think he respects Jastrats or kid in law. Like he's like, okay, these kids took down. Like I'm sure some BS happened for that to happen. I don't respect you, and I still think he doesn't respect them because he still thinks he respected Shanks enough to leave. But he didn't respect 3 people with 3 billion berry bounties.
That's so crazy.
And it's, again, as hype as this chapter was, right? And this moment of, Green Bull walking away, it feels empty, right? It is hype, but it's empty because what was Green Bull's purpose for being here? Is it just this is introduction?
Because it was film red promo.
And of course, Shanks is 100% film red promo, right? That's a huge part of it. But what was Shanks' purpose of being in Wano? Was he just around?
Yeah.
Right? Was he just in the area, in the neighborhood? Like, hey, let me stop by Wano.
Last chapter, I was trying to justify Shanks being here. Like, he says, let's claim the One Piece. And I was like, he's going to want Pluton or he's going to want the lone poneglyph. Like, he wants something here. But no, he's literally leaving at the end of this chapter.
He's gone.
Like why even go out of your way to do a drive-by shooting on Green Bull?
And
what's the point?
And that's why it's that when you look at it and you try to justify it in a way, it was like, okay, was Green Bull going to actually do something where Shanks felt like he had to intervene here? And my thing is like, could you see from that far away using hockey? Because it's like what we're calling is the hockey talkie.
The hockey talkie.
Like with him,
I like that.
Like what I don't understand what it is because it's almost like he's channeling his voice through hockey, and because Green Bull, it seemed like Green Bull understood everything he was talking about, and then Green Bull communicated back like, "Hey, I'm good." Then Shanks is like, "I'm out." Then like, bye. Okay, cool. You got the message. I'm out. And it's just, are you telling me that Shanks could cut Green Bull down from where he was? You know what I mean? Like.
So there's a lot of like those theories out there that are saying that Shanks, has some sort of teleportation technique because he always like just shows up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
shit.
If
you think
Green
he can
Bull,
travel through hockey?
Oh my gosh! Or like his hockey like shoots him out like a torpedo.
Oh, like
because if you really think about it, like even when it was mentioned that Shanks stopped Kaido and King, it's like, wait, those two guys were flying in the sky. How did Shanks just catch up to them and stop them? Like was he in the sky or like how did he do this? Did he just intercept him perfectly? There has to be something with their ship or their crewmates.
The red lightning that everybody talks about with like One Piece Pirate Warriors, like the red lightning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then the time travel thing. I don't know, but either way, for him to do this, it's just loads and loads of hype. I do a top 30 every year, like top 30 strongest every year, and I would not be surprised if this propels him to number 1 just off of
this is hype. The best feat we've had out of, I'd say, almost any character. Just scaring an admiral away from what seems to be miles away too. Like he's off the coast of Wano, he's not even docked. Like realistically, if Shanks doesn't have some sort of teleportation techniques, he would have to find a landing place for a ship, get off the ship, walk all the way into Wano Kuni just to fight Green Bull. Like Green Bull had like probably an hour or two to just destroy things, but no, he was like, "Yep, that's it. I'm gone.
Like, I'm out.
I'm leaving
Unless
right now."
Shanks can like skywalk and like you said, like the lightning or whatever, takes him and makes him a little gets there a lot faster. I have no idea.
The
why
worst
Green
part
Bull reacted
about
that way.
the Green Bull part is just the fact that he's actually sweating. Like if he just left and he was calm and collected, like Aokiji or someone else, then it would be fine. But the fact that you could tell that Green Bull was panicked from red-haired Shanks is like the main crux of the situation.
Yeah, he's hands
It adds
up.
to the Shanks hype, but people start downplaying Green Bull because of this. But
Yeah,
it's like, Green Bull's great though. Like he is a strong character at the end of the day.
He's strong. He's just pathetic.
Yeah.
That's just pathetic.
He was all talk.
And it doesn't look good as like an admiral to do all that and just leave when a Yonko says, all right, it's time to go. When like your mom, like you have friends over too long and your mom's like just yells your name and you just like freeze. You're like, all right, guys.
All right, see you later. I gotta go home.
I gotta go, man.
I gotta pick up the Legos.
You gotta go. Like that's what it felt like. And it's just like, as somebody who, I like the admirals and I think balance is necessary in One Piece. It's just like, oh my gosh, bro. Like what?
How was there even balance in the first place?
Yeah, it's like if you're scared of Shanks' hockey from miles away, is just what is happening. My favorite part of the chapter, though, is seeing Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji and Jinbei just sitting there like, I guess they didn't need our help after all. I'm
the commanders up there.
The commanders.
The Yonko crew.
And here's the thing with Luffy now, right? This is kind of telling us or showing us that Luffy is really a Yonko where you can't just come and demand the Straw Hat. Like, it's like, remember with Big Mom, they were like, you're not even going to see her. It's like, and for Luffy now, like an admiral can come to Wano and you don't even see Luffy.
He doesn't even know what Luffy looks like.
You know what I'm saying? You don't even see him. And I just love, like, it's so amazing that Zoro's at his right hand and Sanji's there and Jinbei's behind him. It's just, I think one of my favorite Straw Hat moments.
It is. I think this smile with Luffy is probably one of the best smiles we've gotten.
It's
so wholesome.
It's very wholesome. It's very like childlike, like, oh man, like Shanks. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. That's
why. But I was like, bro, you don't want to see him. You know what I mean? Like he was right there, but it's Oda just teasing this just over and over. Like, yo, they're gonna meet.
Do you think they're what if they don't meet though? What if they never meet throughout the entire series? Like Shanks dies to Blackbeard before Luffy can return the hat.
Before I thought that, I really think that could never happen.
Okay.
I really think that could never happen because we all want that.
Yeah.
It would be
it's a moment
bold.
foreshadowed since chapter 1, pretty much.
Exactly. And it'd be so bold if Oda does that, which I think honestly probably would be better for story, right? And just how no one would expect it. Because even if people talking about it, I'm like, there's no way. Right? There's no way. There's no way in hell. But I'd be like, wait, what? Luffy doesn't meet Shanks? But my thing was like, all right, what is Shanks doing in Wano? Right? Promoting Film Red. What was Green Bull's purpose? I guess just introduction. And then for Luffy, you don't want to see Shanks. I guess for him is like, all right, we'll meet when we meet. I have my own journey. You have yours. We'll meet when it's time to meet. But I'm just like, bro, Luffy's a great pirate, bro. He doesn't.
He's a Yonko.
Shanks even said, yo, Luffy, it seems like it's going to be time for us to meet soon. I'm like, bro.
And then Shanks' crew was even bringing it up, like, yo, like Luffy's a great pirate. Like, are you sure you don't want to see him right now? Like,
yeah, he's like, I'm not interested in seeing Luffy. I don't know if you saw the official ones that came
I did.
Out, and basically Shanks is like, I'm not interested in seeing Luffy. And it's like, okay, then why are you here?
Like, what was his purpose? And the thing is, like, it seems like he was here to defend Luffy and Momonosuke and everybody. Because he has that flash. He's like, yo, like, does the New Age friend you that much? And he thinks of them.
Yeah.
So it's like, why was he here? Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. I don't know if someone did say that, is he coming now to basically after Big Mom and Kaido was gone, or was he on the way to Wano after he heard about the alliance? But I'm like, this is a week later.
Yeah, it's 7 days. Like, he knows he knows that Kaido and Big Mom are done.
They're done. So like him coming there now, unless he thought he could come into Wano and take the poneglyph, which would be hypocritical, right? Like
that'd be, oh my gosh.
Like if like he's like, yo,
imagine Shanks saying the same thing Green Bull did. If Kaido were here, I wouldn't be here right now.
Right. With no Kaido, no Big Mom. I can get the poneglyph now. You know, it's like, huh? But you know, the Yonko, they don't do things like that. Even though Whitebeard didn't pull up on Kaido even after Odin's death.
Oh yeah.
You know, because it was Kaido, you know? So it's just like, I think if anything, it's like you have several Yonkos that have the claim to like the strongest. Because even with Big Mom, like how people went out of their way to avoid Big Mom. You know, even though like everybody knows what Big Mom is, it's just like, you know, like you don't mess with Big Mom. I think in the Ace novel, they specifically said that like even some of the top tiers back then with Roger, Shiki, Whitebeard, they just avoided Big Mom. Like just don't just leave Big Mom alone, you know.
Just give her food and that's it.
Just let her do her thing. But I mean, I think right now Shanks has like the claim to strongest in One Piece.
Probably like strongest, conquerors, honky, or something around the sort.
For sure. And you know, I think by association, what's his name, is also getting hype.
Ben Beckman?
Benny
or
and
Mihawk.
Mihawk,
yeah.
Yeah, Benny and Mihawk are both getting a lot of hype.
Imagine how pointless it is to be one of the Marines that was tasked with taking down Mihawk. Like, I went back and I saw that where you know, they were hunting down the warlords.
Yeah.
And then you see Marines after Mihawk, and it's like, you're sending these men to their death. Like, what do you mean?
My thing
the world's
like,
strongest swordsman.
If you're not going to send admirals for Mihawk, why even send anyone?
Yeah, like, you're just losing people.
Like, what's the point of sending anyone if you're not going to send admirals? Like, Mihawk deserves an admiral or two if you want a sure victory. This is the world's strongest swordsman.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand that.
Or honestly, just don't even mess with him. Like what does he do all day? He just sails around on his boat. Like, the guy's not bothering anybody.
Yeah. It's really weird. I wonder what he's doing now. I did have a theory that he allied with Buggy somehow.
I saw that actually.
Yeah, he allied with Buggy, and that that's how Buggy became a Yonko. He basically took the other warlords under his reign. And it's like,
I mean, but do you really think that Mihawk could be like as strong as Buggy's second hand in command?
Who, Hazrudin?
No, he's gone. He's not a part of Buggy's crew no more. Buggy didn't need him. I was talking about Kabaji the acrobat, Moji, the beast master, Richie the big lion. Like, come on, you got a group of all-stars here.
Yeah, I don't think he's doing anything with Kabaji, man. I think unless Mihawk wants to lose his title to Kabaji, I think he should stand down.
You know what's funny? The more you think about it, I was watching the Kabaji fight with Zoro, and I'm like, man, I saw a fight like this just recently, and I went back and read Zoro versus King, and I was like, yo, Kabaji kind of fights like King.
It's like, yo, I use a sword.
They both have swords. They both fight dirty.
Yeah,
and they both breathe fire. Like whoa, like this is foreshadowing 101.
Hey, like people have theories that Buggy and his crew have been hiding their true strength.
I wish. I don't think that's the case. There's no way.
I don't either. I think Buggy is what we
Buggy's
think
weak.
But
I think it's great to speculate though. Like, what if on the off chance they are just really strong for no reason?
Oh man, that would Oda would have to like.
You would have to justify it. Yeah,
you'd have to justify it in so many different ways.
Like, you know what I mean? Buggy, if he was actually strong, he would not have been an impel down. His crew would have saved him, or etc. Yeah. But none of that happened.
I think Buggy's really clever, though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Strength. He's really clever, and obviously
lucky.
He's used it to his advantage. He's a Yonko. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's a freaking
people don't want to
Yonko.
fight him. It's like how people don't get to see Luffy. Nobody gets to see Buggy.
Right.
He's hiding behind everybody.
And he has actual strong people with him, so it's just like, yo, you guys handle that. So he'd be like Luffy, right? He'd be like Luffy on the hill, like, all right, I guess I didn't have to do anything.
Luffy's on the hill. Yeah, Buggy's smiling. You have Kabaji on his right and Richie up there. That's great.
I guess I didn't have to do anything. Shanks took care of my, small time work, you know. But I think overall, like, do you typically rate chapters?
I usually don't, because I mean they're all, you know, pretty standard. I mean, I'm gonna like every chapter. It's hard to find a chapter that's bad in One Piece. Like I know some chapters are better than others, but in general they're all pretty banger.
No, facts. It's really hard to kind of look at a One Piece chapter and be like, you know, this is, and we're biased, you know, like we're so invested. It's just like, you know,
you read something for over 1,000 chapters and you become Stockholm syndromed into it.
Yeah, it's like, you know how bad a chapter has to be for me to like put it beneath like a 6 or 7. Like,
yeah, like I don't know, Luffy's gonna have to die. Maybe Zoro leaves the crew for no reason. Like it's gonna have to be crazy. Before we rate the chapter, though, I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
What do you think, now that we have the structure of Wano, now that we know that there's rainwater underneath and an ancient kingdom and etc., how do you feel about the possibility of Kaido and Big Mom potentially being down there?
People had brought that up, and I didn't mind it. It's just that, okay, if they're down there...
7 days.
7 days, first off. They haven't woken up yet, right?
Yeah.
Secondly, did the Big Mom pirates just leave Big Mom? They didn't go look for her or nothing. They all just dipped out. And then if they are down there, what do you do with them? Do you just leave them down there? Right? Do they wake up and all of a sudden your friends, they party with you?
They're hanging out with Jack.
Right, just down
Pluton.
there with Jack. It's like, it presents so many issues, or did it like harden and now they can't escape the lava? I don't know. But it's like, it's so many issues it presents. I think it's best to just say that they left, right?
Yeah.
The Big Mom pirates, they took Big Mom. Like, Big Mom is on the way. She's already in Whole Cake Island. And Kaido just flew away. Like, he's trying to find a new purpose.
Kaido flew away. But I mean, Jack is also missing. And I think it's interesting that they mentioned him this chapter. They're like, hey, by the way, Jack can, you know, potentially go down there and explore ancient Wano or whatever.
Yeah, so
maybe
Jack saved Kaido. You know what I mean?
That's kind of where I'm at. Like, I feel like they wouldn't just leave out Jack and getting bodied from Aramaki. So,
So maybe Jack saved Kaido and took him away. You know, so I don't think they're there. I don't think.
Yeah.
It just creates too many issues if they're just there. So
they're just fishmen now. They're just breathing underwater.
Yeah, like, what is going on here? You know, they just have amnesia now. Like, they both just like, yo, where am I? They just bring back Olin. But nah, I would say, like, typically I don't read the chapters I do it here. I mean, obviously banger. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like Shanks. Any chapter with Shanks and any chapter, well, specifically any chapter with admirals involved, it's always a 10.
Oh, man, I'm still waiting for the admirals to show out. I'm not gonna lie.
Same. I mean, it seems like they're being carried by Akainu right now. And you know, Kizaru, he's just there.
The one thing I'm afraid of is that we might finish the series without actually having to ever face an admiral seriously.
Yeah, it's all gonna be
that's
like
the one
circumstantial stuff, like you know, into like people intervening, or just like the only time I think an admiral would go down without any, you know, anything would be maybe Akainu to Sabo.
Yeah,
that, you know, that's about it. I think it's always going to be just something, unless people are saying going forward that they don't see Fujitora fighting the Straw Hats seriously, but they see Green Bull and Kizaru fighting, like, you know, Zoro and Sanji. And that, I guess some people still think Luffy's fighting Akainu. I don't think so.
I feel like it's really poetic if Sabo were the one to take down Akainu.
It makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah, especially when I went back and watched Marineford, and there was a line that he said. He told Ace, like, hey, my magma burns hotter than your fire.
Right.
So I feel like it would be really cool if we were to revisit that fight, except this time it's Sabo, and this time the fire is burning hotter than the magma. I think that'd be really nice.
Like, you know, like with Aramaki, he basically came up with a countermeasure. You know, like something.
Fireproof forest.
Yeah, you know, Sabo brings out a blue fire.
That would be nice.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he's going through, and it'd be like, you can make that look so beautiful in the anime too. Like Akainu, he thinks he's smothering him again, right? He's overpowering him, and all of a sudden you just see like hints of blue just getting through. And I think that'd be like a really dope way to kind of reintroduce Ace, you know, and just like the will of Ace living on through Sabo and defeating Akainu. I think that makes a lot more sense.
I would like that a lot. It's funny that Ace has become more popular the longer he's been dead. Yeah. Because we're getting more backstory about him. We're getting those flashes of him making promises in Wano and etc.
You realize that he was like a good guy, and the thing is, we knew him. We didn't know much about him. We found out more about Ace after he died, and just the ASL pirate flashback was after the
Yeah, it was after he bit the dust.
Died. So it's like we found out more about this character. So it's just almost like it's crazy, but like you find some music for somebody like, man, this is so good. It's like, oh, that person died. like dang, like
and you're never gonna get a new song.
Like somebody like after they pass away, the music just starts going crazy.
I mean, there's some people like that though. Like there's some artists where they like rappers that have died, and then for some reason the studio keeps on saying, "Hey, here's a new hit single from him." It's like, wait, what?
And then the music gets more popular after they pass away.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like something similar with Ace. And I know the thing is, like, I know when I initially joined the community, like back in 2015, people hated Ace, because they looked at it as like, okay, you're the reason why you're dead. You're the reason why the mission failed, et cetera, et cetera. I think as the more people look into it, they realize it's just who he is, and he was going to be who he was going to be, and just whatever the outcome was, I think he was okay with it, especially because he saved Luffy too, so it's just like, hey man, Luffy survived, and that's the main thing he was worried about.
If anything, we shouldn't be blaming Ace. We should be blaming Luffy for going mindless and looking for a piece of the Vivre card while he has Ace right beside him.
People hate when I bring it up. They hate when I bring it up.
Do you bring that up often?
Oh yeah.
Like Luffy, like you didn't need the Vivre card. Like your brother's right beside you. Like what are you doing?
He was just tired. When you're tired, like
I mean, he died like essentially 3 times throughout that entire day.
Yeah. It's just he was running out and he was tired. It's like, yo, let me find Ace's Vivre card, even though Ace is right next to me. Like whatever, But it's just unfortunate set of circumstances. This was just meant to happen, And we can be critical of how many ways it happened. It's just like this was Oda's plan, and I think Sabo and what he's been doing recently does. It's making him more likable because he's kind of creating his own path in a way, as opposed to just being a seat filler. And I'm interested to see where that goes more. I say that.
I mean, they call him the Flame Emperor, so he's got to show out or at least be stronger or have a lot of influence among the revolutionaries at this point.
Yeah, I would say it's a raw epithet. I love the epithet. Is Flame Emperor is fire. Like,
it's crazy that he's the Flame Emperor after only having the Meta no Mi after like. What, 2 months?
It hasn't been that long. Because
it hasn't been long at all.
Dressrosa was like...
And then Ace had it for years, and the dude's just Fire Fist. Like, what? that gap. Like, what's going on?
He had, like, the... What, Entei?
Entei.
He had Entei, and he had, like, his Fireflies and stuff like that.
The Fireflies were cool, but they didn't make any sense. Like, just burn the guy, dude. Like, what are you doing?
I think with Ace, it's like... Oda never really fleshed him out. And even in the Ace novel, he's like a lot better in regards to combat, even with observation and armament hockey. But back then in Marineford, that's like
Marineford is horrible for power scaling.
It's
so bad. People still bring up Mihawk not being able to take on Jozu, and I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, and that crocodile turned into a top tier.
Yeah, crocodile like stronger than Doflamingo or something.
It's like just a bunch of like weird stuff happening, but we love One Piece regardless. But Sai, any final thoughts on this chapter, man?
The Admiral agenda is still super strong. It's getting stronger every day. The reason why Aramaki didn't want to fight Shanks is because he didn't want to disrupt the balance in the world. He didn't want to take down another Yonko and just cause hell for Akainu. Bro, that is the headcanon I'm going with. He actually wasn't stunned by Shanks' Conqueror's hockey. He actually was just mad that Shanks was here because he'd have to take down another Yonko.
Oh man, listen, I'm not mad at it. Not mad at it at all.
All right, I was just joking, but just I had to clarify that for the 2 people who think I'm serious. But
yeah, they're about to go crazy in the comments.
Yeah, people, when you tell people you're an Admiral fan, they feel like you'd go to any lengths to justify what's happening. It's like, no, I understand what's happening. Like, I'm not blind.
Yeah.
But I still think they're still top tier. Come on.
Yeah, they're still top tier. I mean, like I said, this is not gonna look good for the Admirals, but this does not change the initial argument, which is that Admirals can't compete. In general, Yonko are stronger, but they have the only Yonko Admiral ever said that possibly could be an Admiral or Yonko is Akainu, right? And Aokiji when he was an admiral. Right now, I don't think Kizaru can. I don't think Green Bull can. I don't think Fujitora can. But I think Akainu definitely has a chance of beating anyone.
If they were to team up, I think they'd have a really good chance. But solo, definitely not.
I think, definitely not. I think, it's just the Yonko, they're just forces of nature. But the admirals, they're not slouches either, and I think Oda goes out of his way to show that they're well-rounded fighters, even with what he did here with the Green Bull, saying that, hey, I came up with a countermeasure that can go against my weakness, where for Kaido's like, weakness, what's that? Like, I just walked through everything.
I love that. He I got fireproof forest, don't worry. And then next thing you know, he's being burned alive.
Like, bro, like, what are you doing?
That's so good.
Either way. But nah, Sai, I appreciate you joining me, man.
I appreciate being here, man. Thank you.
For sure. Crazy how things come full circle. Guys, you can find Sai, of course, his channel will be in the title and in the description down below. A lot of One Piece content for sure. I know you cover One Piece spoilers, but it doesn't really spoil in the title or thumbnail, so feel free to check him out. A lot of good stuff over there. Again, if you guys enjoy the content, make sure to like the video and subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Okay, see you later, guys.